When Rivals Came to Roost is all about trust and being helpful. This is the first segment of the second episode of the 22nd season of Arthur, and there's a flood at Mighty Mountain. So the third grade class from there is spending time in Mr. Ratburn's third grade class. And needless to say, the people in Mr. Ratburn's class are not exactly pleased about having to share their space, and they start to get really annoyed at the people from Mighty Mountain because they're making the queues longer at lunch and they're using the equipment at the playground that they want to use, and suddenly they feel like they no longer want to be very welcoming to this other class. And the brain in particular is frustrated because he's got a science project in the classroom for an upcoming science fair, and Mighty Mountain are also entering, and he's paranoid that some of the pupils from Mighty Mountain are going to sabotage their science project. But of course, whether or not that's the case, I'm not going to say. But as I said, this is all about welcoming other people and understanding their situations. The people in Mr. Ratburn's class didn't really take the time to think about what this flood meant for them and just how much had been destroyed in that classroom, their schoolwork, their books, and they didn't really make them feel very welcome, which is not a very nice situation to be in. And I feel like this is something a lot of children can relate to, at least at some point, not necessarily because of floods or damage to classrooms, but often schools will visit other schools or they'll be in a similar environment. And I feel like instantly there's this, well, you're not from our school, so you're the enemy mentality, where your school is the best and every other school sucks. And this kind of is what we have going on here. And there are some important lessons to be learned. I feel like it's quite unpredictable. I hadn't exactly worked out where the narrative was going, and it definitely took me in a direction that I hadn't predicted, so I found that to be quite good. The characters we get in it are pretty decent. They are definitely. I feel like this kind of episode runs the risk of doing parallels, where we have characters who are basically identical but opposite to the characters we have in Mr. Ratburn's classroom, and they didn't fall into that trap, which I thought was a pretty good decision because I feel like it can get quite gimmicky. The only thing that annoyed me, and it's such a small thing, but one of the children from Mighty Mountain was eating a slice of pizza with his hands, and his hands were just like holding the cheesy bit of the pizza, and it really bugged me more than it should have done. But that aside, it's a good episode with some good messages, and I think one that will definitely be very beneficial for the target audience.